Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs and today I have this quick and easy alcohol ink card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So as usual, I am going to cut down my cardstock just because I prefer that. And I like to have a thin layer when I work with my layers, like a thin border around them. So I cut my black mat down to be about an eighth of an inch of my HE base. And then this piece of Yupo cardstock here, I'm going to cut it down to be about a quarter of an inch smaller than my HE base. And an HE base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I say that this is quick and easy because I'm going to leave the alcohol ink portion of this in real time because I want people to see how simple this is. I have gotten comments before about how difficult it looks, and I promise you it isn't. Mostly I find alcohol ink in itself to just be one of those mediums that you have to be okay with letting it be what it is and just kind of playing with it and seeing where it goes. So I did cut my piece of Yupo cardstock down, you saw that, and then this is going to be my main panel as you saw from the picture in the beginning. And with this, I brought in 3 colors of alcohol ink. These are the Tim Holtz alcohol inks, but any alcohol ink would work. And I have Cloudy Blue, Sublime, which is a pearl, and Villainous, which is also a pearl. So the green and the purple are pearl alcohol inks, and then the blue one in the center is just a regular alcohol ink. And I do tend to use blending solution. You can use isopropyl alcohol, but it helps with movement, not getting your colors to blend together. So it really depends on what look you're going for. But also with the pearls, you do need the glycerin that's in the alcohol, the blending solution, to kind of help set them. So keep that in mind in what you're going to play with. And I hope this isn't boring to watch. I promise it might be interesting to some people and not very interesting to others. But this card was so quick for me to make. And I really wanted you guys to see why. Like, I made this alcohol ink panel in maybe 5 minutes. That's literally all the time that it took me to make this. And I want you to see in real time why that is, because I think that it's good to see as I build the layers up how to kind of go about it and go slowly. I know 5 minutes seems like quite a small amount of time, but you can see how I work between the colors. I add a little bit of one color. I work between them until I'm happy with how it looks. And I think that's a big component of alcohol inks and kind of being happy with what you end up with. I think the big problem I've seen with other people who've asked questions is that you'll pick colors that don't go together, so you end up with brown, which, unless you're aiming for brown, is generally not the color people are trying for. So ideally you pick colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, not colors that are opposing to each other. So in this case, I picked purple, blue, and green because I knew that they would go beautifully together. Then the other thing is that you dump on a whole bunch of ink, hoping that you're just going to get a masterpiece right away. And I think that though that's possible, depending on, how you like your backgrounds to look, I find that it's easier to just add a little bit at a time. I mean, you see me add 1 drop of ink color to get where I want to go. And then if I want it to break up and blend, I add a little bit of blending solution. I do find the air tool to be quite helpful for this. That's the thing you see me squeezing here. Just because the alcohol ink does have a bit of fumes coming off of it and you really shouldn't breathe those in. So you could use a straw if that's what you like to use, but generally it's not suggested because of the fumes that come off of the inks. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's your choice to how you create. I like the air blower just for that because I don't really need a headache. That's not really where I want to go with this, but I just kind of like that air tool, but there are many on the market. This just happens to be the one I own, but there's no right or wrong way. And then you can see here, like if I want to break up a little bit of the color, I drip on like 1 drop of blending solution and I move it around until I'm happy. That's all it really takes. And I think if you stick with colors that you like or colors that go really well together, you could do like several shades of pink or several shades of blue, and that would be stunning together. And then if you want to use colors, make sure that they're colors that are just really close to each other in the color wheel, so you don't have any issues with the colors blending. So those are kind of my tips. But I think the biggest tip for alcohol inks is, as Tim Holtz always says, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And I think this is the prime example of that, because you don't have tons of control. Now I say that as I know that there are alcohol ink artists out there who create like stunning flowers and designs and whatnot. So obviously there is a way to master alcohol ink, but as I'm kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none of the techniques, I kind of like to just play and be happy with the pretty outcome. So that's kind of what I aimed for with this. And it's just quick. Like literally this took me 5 minutes to make. And then it's the centerpiece of the whole card. So keep that in mind when you want to try out some kind of new medium or a medium that's a little bit more difficult to work with. And just kind of have a play and have some fun and be happy with what you've got. I think that's kind of like the biggest component of that. But there you go. That is the whole panel that we've created. And it took, very few minutes, and it's, I think in my opinion, stunning. I mean, you may not like it. Maybe that's not your color combo, but that's okay. Pick colors that you enjoy. And then for a little bit of something extra, I waited a little bit of time. Honestly, this is hard to judge because it solely depends on your alcohol ink still being a little bit tacky, but not so wet that it won't adhere. So it's kind of a trial and error scenario, but I brought in a piece of silver foil and I just kind of used the tacky parts that were left in my ink and adhered it on top of it. But be aware that it will transfer ink. So that little blue smudge you see in the top right corner, that wasn't there, but it transferred when I used the foil. So keep that in mind. If your alcohol ink is still wet, it can transfer from the foil. But I just love that look. It gives you this like stunning marbled look, and I just really think that's pretty. Now, the problem I had with this card is that I loved my alcohol ink background so much, I struggled to put anything on top of it. So when I was trying to figure out how to make it like a composed design, I didn't know what to do. I didn't really want to add a sentiment, though I did leave space in the lower left corner to add a sentiment. There's room there, but I didn't know what I wanted to add. So in the end, I chose to kind of keep this more spring feeling, and I brought in some of these really pretty just little butterflies, and I'm going to adhere them across the alcohol inked portion of this card. Oh boy, portion of this card. I'm sorry guys, it's been a long day. I just finished a 10-hour shift at work, so bear with me if my wording is not great. But I did bring in those pearl butterflies, and I'm just going to adhere them across. And I think that added just a touch of something really pretty to them without stealing the show from that alcohol inked background, because it is stunning. Like, this is when I wish that I could show you guys things in person sometimes, because honestly, the video does not do this card justice, like at all. It's stunning in person. I actually considered, making this like an art piece and putting it up on my wall before I kind of continued on with the card, just because I thought it was so pretty. But in the end, I mean, eventually I will give this away to somebody and they can enjoy it. But that's how much I think that this is stunning. Like, it's really, sometimes I wish you guys could see things in person, just because the pictures and stuff just don't do it justice at all. It's just so pretty. And I did adhere just the center of the butterflies, allowing the wings to stick up, just because I like that movement. You could adhere them flat down if you wanted to. They just wouldn't be quite as eye-catching, and they're already fairly subtle. So that just little bit of extra lift to them gives them just a slight bit more interest, which, considering they're the only thing that's really breaking up the alcohol ink background, kind of it needs it a little bit. Now, you could leave this background by itself and not add the butterflies. I just wanted a little bit of something, and I went through all of my dyes. I pondered adding a bird, and I pondered the leaves, and I pondered feathers, and I just kept coming back to the fact that I really didn't want to cover it up. So these little butterflies are probably one of my favorite embellishment dyes. I just love these. They're great anytime. So I thought that they would be a really fun addition to this card. So I did adhere them. You cut out 8. So I added 7 to the front of the card, and the 8th one I put inside, because you guys know, if you've been with me for a little while, I do prefer uneven numbers. I think that they're just better for the eye. So that's kind of what I was aiming for. And if I decide not to add a sentiment to the front, I would just add it on the inside, stamp something like happy birthday or thinking of you or whatever it wants to be. I would just stamp it on the inside and then write my note. And I think that would look really pretty too. So this is the card I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll give me your thoughts. I always want to hear what you think. Like, leave me your thoughts. Would you change anything? Would you do anything different? Would you, what would you do? Will you give alcohol inks a try? And if you have never done so, have you played with them? Do you love alcohol inks? Let me know. I'm always super curious as to what you guys are up to and what you're thinking. So that is the card I have for you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.